In early 1943, German Naval Command did not believe the Battle of the Atlantic was being lost. Losses were increasing, yes. More U-boats were failing to return. Entire crews were disappearing into the ocean. But inside German headquarters, the explanation seemed simple. Bad weather, improved Allied patrols, unlucky encounters. No one believed the system itself had failed. German submarines continued to sail with confidence. Orders were issued as usual. Radio schedules were followed precisely. Every patrol reported in. Every commander trusted the chain of command. And that discipline, more than anything else, became their weakness. Because by that point, the Atlantic War was no longer being fought primarily at sea. It was being fought in silence through radio waves. Every time a German U-boat transmitted a message, it revealed something far more dangerous than its words. It revealed its presence. German radio operators were trained to transmit as briefly as possible. Messages were compressed, encoded, and sent in seconds. Commanders were told that short transmissions meant safety. What they did not know was that the Allies no longer needed time to listen. They only needed direction. Across the Atlantic, British and American forces had built an invisible net. High-frequency direction-finding stations, known as HF/DF, were constantly scanning the airwaves. They did not attempt to break the code. They did not need to understand the message. The moment a U-boat transmitted, multiple stations detected the signal simultaneously. Each one measured the direction. Where those lines crossed, a location appeared, sometimes within minutes, sometimes accurate to just a few miles. That was enough. Convoys quietly altered course. Escorts repositioned. Aircraft were dispatched long before the submarines reached attack range. Meanwhile, German commanders continued to believe the ocean was blind. What made the situation even worse was something the Germans did not know existed at all. Inside Britain, at Bletchley Park, Allied codebreakers were quietly reading portions of German naval traffic. Not always, not perfectly, but often enough. They knew when patrols were being assembled. They knew which regions were being targeted. They knew which convoys were expected to be vulnerable. Most importantly, they knew what the Germans did not suspect. German command saw only numbers, loss rates, missing boats, gaps in communication. But statistics do not explain cause. U-boats vanished without warning. Experienced captains failed to return. Veteran crews were lost on their first patrol of the year. Admiral Donitz demanded answers. Reports came back repeating the same phrases. Enemy contact without warning. Sudden air attack. Unexpected interception. No one wrote the truth, because no one understood it. German officers believed the Allies were still reacting blindly. That convoy escorts were guessing. That patrol aircraft were simply getting lucky. They believed this was temporary. Then came the night that made it permanent. In the North Atlantic, a coordinated group of German U-boats received orders to assemble for a major convoy attack. Each submarine acknowledged the message. Each confirmed its assigned position. Each followed standard radio procedure. For the Allies, this was not a secret operation. It was a map. They did not need to read the messages. They already knew where the submarines were. The convoy altered course hours in advance. Additional escorts were assigned. Air patrols were deployed before the German boats even reached their ambush positions. Over the next days, German losses mounted at a rate no one had anticipated. Submarines were detected almost immediately after surfacing. Aircraft appeared with no warning. Destroyers seemed to arrive from nowhere. Yet inside German command, the conclusion remained the same. The enemy has improved tactics, new equipment, unfavorable conditions. Never radio. Because acknowledging radio interception meant admitting that the entire command and control system of the U-boat fleet was compromised. By the end of 1943, Germany had effectively lost the Atlantic. But in official assessments, the defeat appeared gradual and unexplained. There was no single battle to point to, no decisive engagement, no obvious turning point, just a steady collapse. German submarines continued to transmit, continued to report, continued to believe their signals were secure. But the Allies were listening, not to the words, to the presence. The most devastating part was not that the Allies sometimes knew what the Germans were saying. It was that they knew when to expect them. Every transmission became a breadcrumb, every confirmation a trace, every routine report a risk. The Battle of the Atlantic was not won by louder weapons or larger fleets. It was won by silence, timing, and patience. Germany lost the ocean not in a dramatic confrontation, but in a war it never realized it was fighting. A war in the air, a war in seconds, a war of signals that were heard, even when their meaning was not. Germany lost the Atlantic on the night. It believed it still controlled the ether, and it never truly understood why.